It was a medical malpractice trial in Brooklyn. All of a sudden, the plaintiff's attorney, the injured victim's attorney, yells out, "Objection, Judge!" And now the judge turns to the defense lawyer and says, "Counselor, stop it! I tell you to stop it right now!" And the defense attorney, instead of going ahead and saying, "Okay, Judge, I'm sorry," he says, "I am not out of line, Judge." And now he starts yelling and arguing with the judge. You think that's the right thing to do? You think it made a difference in the outcome? Come join me for a moment as I share with you this remarkable story. Hi, I'm Gerry Oginski. I'm a New York medical malpractice and personal injury attorney. Let me share with you what happened when I was observing a trial in Kings County, which is Brooklyn, here in New York, a number of years ago. So now this was a medical malpractice trial. An injured patient was suing her doctor and the hospital where she received treatment. There were two lawyers in the case. One lawyer was the injured patient's lawyer, known as the plaintiff's attorney. The second lawyer was the defense lawyer. He represented both the hospital and the doctor who was being sued. Now, during the course of questioning, the defense lawyer was questioning a witness on the stand. As a result of an improper question, the plaintiff's lawyer, the injured victim's lawyer, stood up, yelled out, "Objection, Judge, that's improper." And now the judge typically makes a ruling. Either he says, "Yes, I agree," meaning that's sustained. Defense lawyer asks a different question. Or he says, "No, I don't agree. That objection is overruled. Go ahead, Mr. Witness, you can answer that question." But in this instance, something different happened. That question was so outrageous that the judge felt compelled to tell the defense attorney, "You stop it!" And he was angry because this had happened before. It had happened just a few minutes earlier. And the attorney had been admonished by the judge not to do it again. Yet here he was doing this again. And the judge got very upset. And he says, "Counselor, I told you to stop doing that." Normally, when an attorney is admonished by the judge, he typically will turn around and say, "Okay, Judge, I'm sorry, I apologize. Now I'll move on to the next question." Instead, this attorney did something I'd never seen before. He turned around and gave it right back to the judge. "Judge, I will not stop it. This is a question I have to ask, and you're not going to tell me not to ask it." Whoa. Wait a second. Who's in charge of this courtroom? The defense lawyer or the judge? The judge is the one in charge of the courtroom. The judge decides how things proceed in the courtroom. The judge hands out punishment for those who don't listen to his orders and his instructions. Guess what? This was a jury trial. There are 6 members of the community sitting in the jury box listening to the testimony. They are the ones who will be deciding whether the injured patient is more likely right than wrong that what she is claiming is true. Now, when this defense attorney got up and went in the judge's face by yelling and screaming back at the judge, do you think that gained any points for him with the jury? Absolutely not. You want to know why? It's because the jury regards the judge as the person in charge of this courtroom. He is the one who controls. He's the authority of everything that happens in the courtroom. And here's this little pissant trial attorney who's trying to get all defensive and up in the judge's face. Now, from a legal standpoint, I recognize that the attorney's trying to stand up for his client's rights, and he has every obligation to do that. However, there's a big difference between being respectful and standing up for your client's rights and being disrespectful, which is exactly what this defense attorney was doing. Now, I should tell you that this might have been a strategy that the defense lawyer wanted to use to rile the judge up so that now he'd get punished and then he could take an appeal later on that might affect the entire case. He might have been worried that he was going to lose the case, so now he's trying to do everything he can to disrupt the jury, disrupt the plaintiff's attorney, disrupt the judge, to get them to focus on something that doesn't matter at all, but to divert their attention. We call that a red herring. They're going on a fishing expedition somewhere else, having nothing to do with the facts of the case, having nothing to do with the witness. That's a possibility. But at the moment, it didn't seem like that at all. It seemed like this guy was going head to head with the judge, and he didn't care what the consequences were going to be. Now, let's fast forward to the end of the trial. I happened to be in the courthouse at the time the jury came back with their verdict. And what shocked me was the jury's verdict. The jury turned around and said that the defense won this case. The injured victim had not been able to show that they were more likely right than wrong, that what she was claiming was true. And in fact, they gave a verdict for the doctor and for the hospital. And that was quite shocking to me because this attorney's conduct, the defense lawyer's conduct, was so outrageous that not only did I feel it warranted sanctions and penalties by the judge, which, by the way, he did not do. He simply yelled and scolded at the attorney a number of times throughout the trial. But I thought it would impact the ultimate result. Well, the jury saw through it, and they saw his ruse, and they saw that he was trying to stand up for his client's rights. So even though he was nasty and obnoxious towards the judge, the authority in this case, the jury still felt that based upon the facts, based upon the law in the case, that his client still deserved a verdict in their favor. That to me was very shocking. So why do I share this quick story with you? I share it with you just to give you an insight and an understanding into what can happen in a medical malpractice case here in New York. You know, I understand and I recognize you're watching this video because you have questions or concerns about your own matter. Well, if your matter did happen here in New York, and you're thinking about bringing a lawsuit but haven't done so yet because you still have questions, what I invite you to do is pick up the phone and call me. I can answer your legal questions. You know, this is something I do every single day, and I'd love to talk to you. You can reach me at 516-487-8207 or by email at Gerry, Gerry, at Oginski-law.com. That's it for today's video. I'm Gerry Oginski. Have a wonderful day.